Hello and welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I figured I'd make a tutorial to show you how you can make your own mods in BeamNG with zero coding experience required. So today, I'm going to show you how you can make a mod something similar to this. As you can see, when I crash, there's pinball physics, and then without touching anything, my vehicle automatically resets. We're going to do this with the flowgraphEditor, which is the same way that I made the super hot style mod that we used with Butch and Lady C. So with that, let's get started. So the first thing that you'll need to do is access the world editor. To access the world editor, you hit F11 on your keyboard, and that'll bring up this menu. And to bring up Flowgraphs, you click Window, Gameplay, and then Flowgraph Editor. Now you can do File, New Project, and this is the first thing that you'll need. This is a node in the Flowgraph Editor, and this on update, what it does is every frame that the game draws, this will pass, code, quote unquote, like an electrical signal through to the rest of our nodes. So the first thing that we want for our pinball physics is a node called on crash detected. And what that will do is it will detect when your vehicle is involved in a crash. So we just take the flow from this block to this block, and now this block will constantly be getting power from the on update, but it will only, we're interested in these triggers at the start and the end of a crash. The next thing that I'd like to grab is on vehicle switched. This way, if we decide to switch a vehicle, it will also be able to pass information to what we're doing. So, next, we're going to grab apply velocity to vehicle. And that'll do exactly what it says. When the vehicle crashes, it'll apply a velocity to it. Well, that's great. We'll take the new ID from the vehicle switched, so whenever we switch a vehicle, it will get that information. And then we also want to grab something called random vector. What random vector will do is when we pass it power, it'll constantly change the direction for the car to be flung. That way, sometimes it'll be flung to the left, sometimes it'll be flung backwards, sometimes it'll be flung straight up into the air, and it'll just add a bit of randomness. So we'll connect our flow to random number, and that'll just constantly pass that electricity through so that this will always be changing. And then we're going to plug this vector into the directional vector. It's all color-coded, so you know what can go into what. The green dot to the green dot, the yellow square to the yellow square, the flow to the flow. And if you remember from your high school physics classes, you need two things for a force to be applied to something. You need a direction, and you need a magnitude. This vector takes care of that direction, but we need some sort of number. So we'll just go in and we'll grab a number node. We'll apply that value to coefficient, and maybe we'll drag it up here to make it easier to see, and you can just click on it and change the number here. We'll make it a nice even 50. So the next thing we'll do is we will take this start crash And we only wanted to apply that velocity as soon as a crash is detected. So when a crash is detected, it'll apply that velocity to the vehicle and then stop applying it, just applying one impulse force, shooting it off into a direction. Now, the next thing I want to do, because this should work, and in fact, let's test it. We'll run the flow graph, and you can see the little orange dots acting as though it's an electrical current floating through our little program here. And if we just step on the gas and we collide with something, hopefully, that wasn't very spectacular, but we got flung kind of down into the ground. But you'll see it doesn't reset us or anything. We have to do that manually. But that's not a problem. Using a few more blocks of code, we will be able to have it automatically reset us so that we're ready for the next crash. Perfect for, you know, some type of race where you collide with somebody and it auto resets you. Oh, that was a good one. So we'll come to a stop. We'll reset our vehicle and we'll go back into the world editor. Again, it's just F11, and we'll click the stop button and we're right back here. So next comes the bit that's a little bit more confusing, but it's all coding is logic and language, and we've stripped the language back, and it's just worrying about the logic now. So we can even grab another on update just to keep our blocks a little bit clean here. And we're going to grab what we call a flow switch. And what this does is pass flow, so it's constantly getting power, but it needs an on and an off. And to get it to do what we want it to do, we are going to take start crash and we're going to apply it to off. We're going to take end crash and we're going to turn the switch on. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that and put it into a timer, a simple timer that will get the flow. And what's going to happen is when the crash ends, it'll start this timer, or start this switch, pass the electricity through to the timer so that the timer can count down, and then after the timer concludes, it will reset the vehicle, and then when the crash starts again, it'll make sure that that switch is off so that the timer does not keep rolling. So we'll put the timer there, and then we'll grab another flow switch. Grab it from right there. We'll just right click to drag and move around. And we'll say that when this is completed, we want to turn the switch off. We want it to turn back on at start crash. And we want the flow to go to flow. And now we're just going to grab recover in place. And we're going to pass flow through to that. And then we are going to take the start crash one more time, and we're just going to put it on the reset, because this node has to be reset. So every time the crash is initiated again, it will reset that node so that by the time the flow gets through it, through the timer, through both of the switches, it'll be good to be triggered to be reset once again. So just like before, we can click on the timer. 5 seconds might be a bit much. Let's do 4 seconds. We will click play on our flow graph, hit F11, and if all went to plan, we're going to have something that we can use to race against our friends. So let's give it a little bit of a crash. Whoa, and 50 may have been a bit much in terms of the the vector, because that launched us way into the air. But it did auto reset us. So that is an easier way of making mods in BeamNG with no coding required. Now, normally in a tutorial, you like to follow exactly what the person says, and that'll get you to where I'm at now. But my challenge to each and every one of you is to take what I've done and explore that flowgraph editor just a little bit, change some numbers, find some different nodes. I was able to take nodes to black out the screen, so we could black out the screen after a crash. I was able to find this random vector so that we could apply velocity to vehicles, and try to find something fun that you can do with this concept. Because I'd love to hear what other people come up with. I'd love to see this. This is a feature that I haven't really used in BeamNG, so I'd love to see what other people come up with. But that's all I've got for you today. Thanks for watching. Like I said, let me know what you come up with. If there's anything you'd like to see me do with this flowgraph, let me know. Similar to what we did with the super hot one, maybe we could race each other, and the only resets being allowed would be the ones from the mod. Anyway, I've been Z-Man in Space. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.